quarter six, there's not even a quarter six in school. But it's week 6 of quarter 2. And today is Tuesday. Now, some of you, I've been noticing that you will, once I write down all the work, you'll just put the correct answer in. That's not how you do it. You have to write everything that I write on the board if you got it incorrect. You have to show step by step by step. Okay? So it says Jan spent the day at the mall. She came home with $8.25. She spent $6.25 on earrings and 4 times that amount on a shirt. How much money did she take to the mall originally? So I'm spending the $6.25 on 1 pair of earrings. Then I need to take 4 times that amount. So this is where I do my $6.25 times 4. I show it on my paper. If I do it on my calculator, then I just put in the answer, which is, here's my decimal, 2 decimal places, 2 decimal places. So 4 times the amount for the shirt was $25 for the shirt. Now I have to add back my $6.25 for the earrings. Are you guys with me on that? Okay. So I spent $31.25. Then I came home with $8.25, so I'm going to add the $8.25 to that. So I know that I went to the store now with $39.50. Raise your hand if you got that one right. All right, off to a good start. If not, you're showing your work. Now, this was pretty easy math to do that you really didn't need a calculator, but no matter what, even if you use a calculator, you're showing me that you're multiplying first, adding second, and then adding third, because it was a 3-step problem. Number 2, can't really use a calculator for these. Solve the inequality. Draw the line, box up your M. This is like a negative or subtracting a positive. So if it's a negative, we're going to add the additive inverse, which is adding 5 to both sides. Because we want to cancel this negative and this positive out to leave M alone. And 7 plus 5 is? And we keep the sign the same direction. Number 3 says to graph the inequality. 15 is greater than M. I like to rewrite it to where M is first. So I put M is less than 15, because then that helps me know which way I'm going to point my arrow. So here's my number line. I'm just going to go by 5s. Okay? Am I going to fill in my circle? Nope, it's an open circle, and my arrow is going to point to the left. And that is why I rewrite it with M first, because then this tells me which way I need to point my arrow. Number 4. Tim earns $120 plus $30 for each lawn he mows. Write an inequality to represent how many lawns he needs to mow to make more than $310. So I make $120 plus $30 for each lawn. Do I know how many lawns I mowed? No. Nope, so that's going to be my letter. I'm going to choose X. You can choose N, you can choose whatever letter you want. And it needs to be more than. So this has to be more than $310. All right, I forgot to go back. Let's go back to number 2. How many of you got number 2 right? How many of you got number 3 correct? How many of you got number 4 correct? Raise your hand really, really high on this one. Okay, Those of you that didn't have your hand raised, do you understand how I got what I did? You see the clue words, the plus, the each. It says inequality, so if it's going to be an inequality, it's greater than, less than. And if it's more than, it's not. If it says at least, then I would have put a line underneath of it, because it could be that or greater. 5. Joe drove 538 miles in 9 hours and 15 minutes. What was his average speed per hour? All right, so we've got to do a little bit of math here, don't we? So it is, you always do miles per hour, right? So I'm going to set up my ratio, miles per hour. Okay? And then I'm going to say he drove 538 miles per, and then I've got 9 hours, 15 minutes. I can't have hours and minutes together. Okay? So I can either change it to all hours or all minutes. And then later on you'd have to change the minutes to the hour. How many of you would like to change, well, let me just start by changing the minutes into hours, because you'll make it a fraction. Okay? So I'm going to pull this part out, and it's going to go right over here. We have 15 minutes out of how many minutes are in an hour? 60. I really like how people are writing their stuff down. So then I really have, I'm going to reduce that down to 15 minutes is 1/4 of an hour. Okay, are you guys with me on that? So now I really have 538 miles per 9 1/4 hour. So then what I'm doing is I'm taking and I'm dividing, because I want to know how much per hour, correct? Yes, average speed per hour. So then I just take 538 divided by 9 1/4. So then it's 538 divided by 9 1/4 becomes 37/4. Then I do the keep, change, flip. This is the work that you're going to show. Let me erase it and come over to the left a little bit so I can. So it'd be 538 times 4/37. This is where you want to use your calculator. You're showing me that you're setting it up, and then it's 538 times 4, which is 2,152 over 37. When I reduce that, or if I just put this in my calculator, I do 2,152 divided by 37, my answer is 58.162 miles per hour. That's your final answer. You set it up as the ratio, miles per hour. I want to see that on everybody's paper. Then I want to see that you plugged in the information. But then you needed to change the 15 minutes to hours. Did anybody change the hours to minutes? Okay, let me show it this way. So here's way number 2. Miles per hour is what I want. I'm going to first start by changing my 9 hours, 15 minutes. So changing my 9 hours to minutes, I take 9 times 60. Is that correct? Because there's 60 minutes in an hour. So that becomes 540. Are you with me on that? Add my 15 minutes to that. So now now I'm gonna go back into this. It's miles per hour, and the miles he drove was 538 miles. Like, just keep getting that from right here. I changed my 9 hours and 15 minutes to 555 minutes. Now, when we learned last week or a couple weeks ago, I can change my minutes right now, right in here, to hours. Minutes goes on top, right? 60 minutes in 1 hour. Because these cancel each other out, and I'll up with miles per hour. This is when we were converting units of measure. So then this is definitely when I want to use my calculator, and since I didn't do it this way earlier, I better get out my calculator. I'm just going to take 538 times 60. I'm going to have to write it down here. 32,280 over 555 times 1 is 555. Then I put that into my calculator. So I divide it by 555, and I still get 58.162 miles per hour. So here's one option. Oops, that all goes with this. That's option 1. Here's option 2. Still number 5. How many of you got that one correct? Nice. How many of you understand how to set it up? How many of you set it up miles per hour first? How many of you at least put miles per hour? Okay, that's an excellent step right there. How many of you put 538 miles over 9 hours, 15 minutes? How many of you at least did that? Perfect. How many of you forgot to change it all to hours or all to minutes? Okay, so that's probably where our biggest mistake is. When they combine it, you have to make it either all hours or all minutes. And then make sure if you change it to minutes, you change it back to hours at the end. But getting this set up first, that's the first step, and that's what you need to be able to be doing. Number 6. What does a point 1,90 represent on the graph? 1 is my x. Make sure you're labeling it, and it's already actually labeled for you. X axis, y axis. This is my 1, and this is my 90, so right here. 1 is the time. 90 is the miles, distance. When we write things like this, it's always going to be y over x. Write that down, y over x. I'll write it down on my paper. It's y over x. This is what we were working on yesterday when we took our notes. So if it's y over x, y is 90, x is 1, because they told us 1,90, correct? 1, my x stands for hours, my y stands for miles. So then this would be read as we are going 90 miles per hour. Told you yesterday it's going to be important to know it's y over x, y over x, y over x. 7.
We can't see it.
Thank you. We're talking about proportions. Proportions are like equivalent fractions. The proportion of red marbles to blue marbles. Okay, red, everybody to blue. Write this down. Or red to blue. Or red to blue. This is how you write proportions. So the proportion of red marbles to blue marbles in a jar is 2 to 5. So it says red to blue, so then 2 to 5, 2 has to be with the red, the blue has to be the 5. Okay, so I know that the red is 2, the blue is 5. If there are 35 blue marbles in the jar, how many red marbles are there? So I know I have 35. So we need to make it an equal proportion. So how do I get from 5 to 35? Times 7. So if I did the bottom times 7, I need to do the top times what? 7. So then I have 14. So how many red marbles are there? There are 14 red. So you're basically just making for proportional. To make it proportional, you're making equivalent fractions. And number 8. Cody has $700 in his savings account that pays 4% simple interest. How much will he have in 1 year? I want you to underline simple interest. Because later on, you're going to get something that's called compound interest, which is a little bit more difficult, okay? And we'll get to that later. But $700, and I earn 4%. So how do I find 4% of 700? You can do the is over of equals percent over 100, or I can just take $700 times it by my 6%. How do I make it 6%?
It's 4%.
Oh, thank you. So I take the 700 times, move the decimal, 1, 2. So it'd be times 0.04. And do my math. 28, 2 decimal places. So he earns $28 for the 4%. But my question asks, how much will he have in 1 year? So I have $700, so I have to add my $28. So he has $728. Oops, sorry. Another way I could have done that. I'm going to have 100% of my savings there. They're not taking that away. And if I'm adding 4%, I can just take my $700 times 104%. So then it'd be 700 times, move my decimal, 1.04. Do my math, 0.028. Cross it off. Add a 0 for this one, but I'm not going to keep doing it. Add another 0 for this. 0.07. 0.00827. 1, 2 decimal places. 1, 2 decimal places, and you still get $728. And I just didn't have to do my addition. Yes?
I multiplied it by 0.96 because it said that he paid 4%.
He doesn't pay. It says in a savings account that pays. So the savings account pays him. That's what that meant. I see what you're saying. Because interest is what you earn. They pay you interest. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Good question. All right, let's go back to 6. How many of you got 6 correct? That was 90 miles per hour. How many of you got 7 correct, which would be 14 red? How many of you got 8 correct, which was $728? Okay. You can stop it.